Hey everyone, welcome to the program WRSA Radio. I am your host, Grenadier One. As always, I hope you're having a good week. It's been a busy one for me today, at least, with work, so I was not able to get off at the normal time I shut things down and jump into making the show as I normally do. But sorry for posting it late, but I got it done, so here we go. What are we covering this week? Well, it's a little bit of a tie-in to last week's episode where I talked about a crisis of competency. Last week, the thumbnail for the video was that goofy photo of Lord Visor inspecting the dupes, that being Lloyd Austin, the Secretary of Defense, from way back in COVID times. The photo was from way back then. Yes, back when things were so much different and we all suffered a collective fever dream. Anyway, SECDEF Lloyd has been the focus of some attention here lately, and I didn't really get into it in last week's episode, so I wanted to kind of bring it up here, kind of make a show about it today. Because there is something that is strange going on. Something is afoot with Lord Visor. See, he got himself into a bind with the press for once. The press is actually, or was, asking questions anyway, although they are no doubt in the loop to some extent of what is taking place and just running cover for the Biden administration. But they were asking questions. Now, those questions have all but disappeared. They did kind of come back around this week as the things kind of unfolded, but they're just being sort of slow rolled and not really dug into in any kind of degree. But question one, where was Lord Visor at the end of 2023? And this is the crux of it all. He went missing. Apparently, he didn't tell the upper management that he was going to be gone, and they were unawares. He was reportedly in the hospital due to pain associated with a surgery from prostate cancer. He apparently, that piece, the original surgery apparently was known about to some extent anyway, but this incident that happened on New Year's Eve, he apparently began suffering pain and collapsed, and EMTs were called, and reportedly they were told to be very quiet about it, no lights or sirens, no one was to know that he was being taken to the hospital. And this is from some rumored information that has recently come out, at least that part of it is the no lights and sirens. I can't really verify if that is true in light of some of the other rumors that we will get into later, but this is what is being said, and it's what's being reported in some of the media outlets. So Lord Visor goes to the hospital and is placed in ICU and is indisposed of for several days, if not longer. We don't know for sure because we've yet to really get a cohesive story from the administration. At no time was his deputy SecDef made aware of his absence, at least in the initial phases of this, as apparently she was out of the country on vacation, and his direct admin had the flu, apparently. Again, and I keep saying apparently because, again, we just don't know. This is what we're being told. At no time was the president or the president's chief of staff made aware that this was going on until well after this had all occurred. Apparently, several days passed before the president's staff learned that Lord Visor was down. Okay, down goes Frazier. What this meant is that for several days, there was a massive hole in the chain of command between the military and the president. Now, kids, that's bad. That's bad. It's not good. It's a monumental failure on the part of this administration, and you just can't have that happen in the modern world, especially with all the things that are going on in the world. And again, we're taking that all on the surface. Everything is on the up and up, which we know it isn't, but taking everything on the up and up, having this kind of thing happen in light of what we're facing internationally, it is a problem. And it gets back to that crisis of competency. It's what we have come to expect from this crew of clowns that we have in office. But the problem is, however, that it's too big of a failure, and it's a story that kind of makes no sense when you take it in totality. We can forgive the president not knowing for a few hours, or even longer, as long as his chief of staff is aware of it. We can forgive that. It was the holidays after all, and things happen in emergencies that prevent word from being communicated very quickly sometimes, while the event is going on. So you can imagine, he collapses from pain, or he's having problems, and they take him to the hospital. You can understand and forgive a gap of a few hours. But this is not a few hours we're talking about. This is days. No one thought to send a text message or an email to the chief of staff or the admins. I mean, it just doesn't really pass the smell test. Okay, something more has happened here. Now, there was some initial speculation that SECDEF had suffered a case of died suddenly, and the administration was trying to keep that under wraps until they could kind of construct a narrative. But that also doesn't really pass inspection either. There's no real need for that. They could easily say, hey, you know what, he had cancer, and this cancer's done a number on him, and he passed away, and just go forward with that. There was no need to have this faux pas, this gap in time, and for this to come out in the media the way that it did. That still would have been a murky answer, but not entirely out of the question, okay? Especially if it was known that he had recently, found out he had this prostate cancer, and, it could have been a turbo cancer, as we've run into these days. And that still would have garnered some questions from the right, at least, but it would have been more easily managed. But for some reason here, there's a need to have this story unfold in a specific way. And it's a way that opens the administration up to criticism of how it was all handled, but disguises what really has happened to Lord Visor here. Now, a few days ago, he was apparently released from the hospital to recover at home quietly in private, and some of the articles I read even specifically mentioned that he was known for liking his privacy, which seems to be sort of seeding the story, seeding the narrative of, well, we're going to honor his privacy and not ask any questions to him. But anyway, we can't really tell for sure what has really happened here, because there's nothing but statements and official press releases going on. There's no proof of life. There's no video of him. There's no recordings of him. Now, apparently there was a video, at least is what, I saw something about a video, but I haven't been able to find it. Pictures or a video of Biden visiting someone in the hospital who is said to be Austin, although this person is wearing a mask, is what it was said. Again, I haven't seen it, so I can't confirm that. You don't know if it's really them. Don't know if it's really Austin, or even what time it is. It may have been back when he originally had surgery for cancer. It may have been a photo that was held and just not released. And back when, and hey, Biden heard he was having problems, going into the hospital, having this surgery, so he goes over there and has a little picture op with him, photo op, and they just didn't release it immediately. But hey, here now, let's release it to let everybody know that he's still kicking. But we just don't know. We can't tell. And I lay it all out like this because there's another rumor that is really kind of the meat of this episode that is going around, that something else might have happened to SECDEF. I want to preface this by saying that this is absolutely rumor intel. It's not verified. I have no way of really verifying this. It's just something that is bubbling up in the chats and message boards around. Now, as a qualification of that, I've yet to see this being played up or really kind of turned over in the call them Russian or independent mill blog Telegram sites that I follow. Some of the more pro-Eastern, I guess, pro-Russian sites. They haven't really made any hay out of this. It's only something that I'm seeing from other social media platforms like X and Gab and some of these other places. And so take this for what it is, with a huge grain of salt. That's where I'm going. So what am I getting at? The rumor is that the Russians took note of official but unannounced travels to Ukraine over the last year or so. They come out, the surprise visits. This official, this secretary, whomever, was in Ukraine and is now back in the United States, and now we're releasing this information. And the Russians were able to go back and look at things forensically in their intelligence and gather all this intel. And they were able to determine things like the flights that were taken, what airfields were landed at, so on and so forth. Who they might have been meeting with in Kiev and how long those meetings lasted. In other words, they built a profile of what a secret visit to the Ukraine by a high-ranking U.S. official might look like. And based off of that activity and posture and a number of other factors. And by doing this, they knew that something was going on at the end of the year between our Christmas and New Year's. They're not the same in Eastern Orthodox or Russian Orthodox Church. Those dates are different. So it's between our Christmas and New Year's. They knew somebody was going to the Ukraine from the U.S. Maybe they knew it was SECDEF, maybe not. Maybe they just knew it was an official. But they took that information and they acted dynamically on it. What happened at the end of the year, more specifically, right around New Year's Eve, or on New Year's Eve, the Russians launched a major missile strike at multiple targets in Ukraine, including what in the rumor is a large command and control facility in Kiev itself, the kind of facility that would likely be a meeting place for Ukrainian defense ministers and U.S. and NATO officials. If they're meeting, they might be meeting in this bunker. Well, they clobbered this thing. The administration of Ukraine claimed that there were a few casualties and that it was a hotel that was hit with other missiles landing just in random residential areas. That's their official statement. Again, we have no way of knowing if that is true or not. We're just going by what was reported in the Western media about that attack. And how it merges with these rumors. And given this information, is it possible that Lord Visor was that official and was at the location meeting with Ukrainian defense members and got killed or injured? Perhaps he was only wounded and he's still alive, but his injuries don't really fit with the story of, it was pain from prostate surgery. Maybe they had to dig him out of that bunker and ship him back here to the U.S., and that's why he was missing for several days. He couldn't be talked to for a couple of days while they got him back here, and he turns up at Walter Reed. He's not available for comment. We don't know. The rumors sync rather nicely to the facts. We have timing that kind of matches all up, but we don't have a lot of evidence to support this. So, again, I can't say this is close to the reality of the thing with any kind of certainty, but I only bring it up because it comports with the things we know to be true and because it fits in with the overall opinion and posture and behavior of this administration. They're clowns. Under other leaders at any other time, I would dismiss this rumor. It would, that's far-fetched. It would be just completely nuts. I would have a higher standard of evidence for that. But given what we know of this administration and the clown world that we live in, I can't do that here. It sounds like something that this crew would do. It sounds like how they would try to cover this up, just ham-handed, because you have this rule by committee that is taking place there. There's more than one person playing puppeteer to Joe Biden. It's not Dr. Jill. I'm sure she has a hand in it, but there's others involved, and they're all trying to exert some kind of, control and influence here. And that's what gives you these kind of ham-handed and comical responses to how some of these things unfold. So this is not out of the question at all. Now, I don't know what to think of this, but I'll leave it at that for you to just kind of churn it over and decide what you think of it. Like I said, it's just more evidence. It's also tiresome, though. So make of that what you will. That is all I have time for today. Like and subscribe. Come see us over on Gab and the Mothership, and I'll see you on the next episode.